Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the 1111 Matrix Code Revealed. As always, I'm your host, Garrett King. So as you can probably tell from the title of this film that I'm doing something a little different. I figured since the last video I did was kind of on a hot topic that it probably would be best not to poke the bear too much and jump into other hot topics such as JFK, Donald Trump, etc. For the time being. So just want to kind of ease those in, not just, come in all at once, hot and heavy with those topics. So I thought I would do something a little more fun. I thought, let's look at some films. I'm showing that this code exists in everything. And, a couple of what I've, topics I've shown so far, they have been kind of hot topics. But to prove that this code, of course, is running through every little thing, not just these current events or, major events that might have happened. Let's look at explore some other, ideas here. And let's look at, a couple of movies. So the movies that I chose were, a couple of popular films, or still are popular films. The first one is The Wizard of Oz, and the second one is the very first Star Wars film that came out. What I found is again, it's extraordinary, folks. I mean, there's no one at this point that's going to convince me that there is not a code that is running underneath the very fabric of this reality that we exist in. When you start to see these phrases and how it's actually pulling in the actors' names, the characters that they played, even in one that you'll see here in a little bit, an actual famous quote from the film is mentioned, as well as the person who said it in the film. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of exciting. But again, it's another step in this process of proving that numbers govern everything. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Again, I want to kind of keep these videos relatively short, but let's just jump into it right now. Let's look at The Wizard of Oz. Okay, so what I've done is to get my starting number, I used the base phrase, The Wizard of Oz, which is the title of the film. Okay, and so typing that in, it gives me the value in the Latin Jewish cipher of 2213, which means all of the other phrases must meet that same criteria. Okay, they must all share that same value and be relevant to the original search term, The Wizard of Oz. And as you will see, they all are. Okay, let's start with the first one. So the first one, it says a film announced starring Judy Garland. True statement. So when this film first came out or was first announced, they announced that it was starring Judy Garland. So it is a true statement, and that statement, that phrase, has the value of 2213. The same as the initial phrase that I put in. Okay? So the next phrase, featured an entertainment-based troupe called Singers Midgets. Now, I looked this up. This is absolutely true. So a lot of the little people that were used to play the Munchkin, that's a hard word to say, Munchkins. There we go. Geez. They came from this entertainment based troupe called Singers Midgets. That's where they got them from. So again, true statement, and its value is 2213. Next, based on a magical classic Oz series book by L. Frank Baum. Again, true statement. The movie's based on this classic Oz book. The Oz books, it is a series, and they were written by L. Frank Baum. So again, true statement. Value 2213. The next one featured a inept scarecrow, a tin man, and lion. Again, true statement. The film has a scarecrow, a tin man, and a lion in it. Phrase 2213. Or value is 2213. Okay, stars Margaret Hamilton as the all big bad witch. And again, that's a true statement. Margaret Hamilton is the name of the actress that played the Wicked Witch, the bad witch in the film. So stars Margaret Hamilton as the all big bad witch. That phrase, again, shares the value 2213. The next one. Now, I thought this one was very interesting when I came across it. So, a film used by the CIA MK Ultra program, Embrace the Red Shoes. So, when I was doing this research, I came across multiple videos on YouTube about MK Ultra and the Wizard of Oz, and it was just interesting. That when I was, I started, well, first of all, when I came across that video, that's what I typed in. So I typed in a film used by the CIA MK Ultra, program. And so that left me with, quite a bit of space. It didn't meet the 2213 criteria. So I'm sitting there watching the video, and they kept talking about the red shoes, how the red shoes were a trigger in the film for, supposedly people that were mind controlled. It was just one of those things that they could use to trigger that person's mind into doing whatever task they needed them to carry out. So I'm sitting there watching this film or this video, and they're talking about that. And so I just typed in "embrace the red shoes," and I wish you could have seen my jaw hit the floor when I realized that by doing that, it completed the phrase, and the value is 2213. I mean, you can't make this shit up, folks. And no one, absolutely no one is going to convince me at this point that this reality that we exist in is controlled by numbers. Absolutely, 100%. No one's going to convince me otherwise. Let's go on to the next one. Ray Bolger is the adored Scarecrow. Now, folks, Ray Bolger is the actor who played the Scarecrow. And that phrase, Ray Bolger is the adored Scarecrow, meets that criteria of having the value of 2213. Jack Haley is the Tin Man, a oiled machine that needs a heart. Now think about that. That's really kind of detailed there. So Jack Haley is the actor who plays the Tin Man. And if you remember in the film, he was rusted over. He needed oil so he could start moving around. And he also was not on his way, but he started his journey after meeting Dorothy to meet the wizard because he needed a heart. He was after a heart. So again, true statement, and its value is also 2213. Okay, Bert Lahr, I don't know how you actually say his last name, but Bart, I'm going to pronounce it Lahr. if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize. But anyway, Bert Lahr is the cowardly, in denial lion. So again, the actor's name, who played the cowardly lion, and the lion was in denial. Because if you remember in the film, when he first jumps out, he's all big badass, trying to scare Dorothy and everyone. And then we find out that he's cowardly. But then later in the film, he gets his courage. And so it's courage that he always had. So, he was sort of in denial about what was within him. So again, a true statement, and the value 2213. The next one. Now, this one kind of ties back into the one up above that I read earlier, where it said featured an entertainment-based troupe called Singers Midgets. This one says the film has migrant little people from Singers Midgets called, I'm going to screw up this word again, munchkins. Okay? So again, another true statement, and its value is 2213. Now, what I think is interesting about those two phrases is that that's not something I knew about, and I don't, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that knew this, but the majority of people probably didn't know where they found the little people, that they were part of this entertainment-based troupe. So when I, found that and started, putting these phrases in, and then it's just like it all comes together. It all comes together. Like, it's so crazy. It's so crazy when you see this process and then the numbers line up. Okay, next one. Made Judy Garland as Dorothy Gale. Okay, so that's what the movie did. It made Judy Garland as Dorothy Gale. That's the character she's playing. So not only the actress's name, but the character that she's playing in the film. And also, its value is 2213. Okay, this next one, or next two actually, are kind of interesting because it is using something current and yet talking about this film at the same time. So this one reads, Wicked is a amble musical based on these characters. Okay, based on the characters of The Wizard of Oz. So Wicked is a amble musical. Now the word amble just means like slow moving, to move slow, like at a slow pace. Now I've never seen the musical, so I don't know what the pace of the musical is. I've heard certain people talk about it, that it's kind of long. It's in two parts, kind of like the movie. And, I've heard some people like it's difficult to kind of sit through, especially if you're, antsy and, can't sit still for very long. But again, I've never seen it. So the statement could, basically just be based on a matter of opinion. Certain people's opinions. Don't know. But still interesting that it talks about Wicked and that it's a musical and that it's based on these characters, and the value is 2213. The next one. Nurtured, Wicked has been made into an epic film. So Wicked started as a book, then it became a musical, and now it's been nurtured all this way up into this epic film that everyone's talking about. And again, will be in two parts. And that phrase, 2213, is the value. Now, this next one is really super interesting. And this is the last one for The Wizard of Oz. So it reads, the film also starred a little black Cairn Terrier she-male dog in it called Toto. Okay, now let me read this again. The film also starred a little black Cairn Terrier she-male dog in it called Toto. So let's break this one down. So the dog in it that played Toto was a dog named Terry and was actually a female. Okay, so that's why we have she male. And it was a Cairn Terrier. So again, the film is an accurate, or not the film, the phrase is an accurate statement. Because Toto was one of the main characters of the film. And again, that phrase, 2213. Now, here, I mean, this is what's interesting to me as well, but when you look at some of these phrases and how some of them are way longer than the others and the other ones are shorter, but yet they all carry the same gematria value. It's extraordinary. It truly is. And again, all of this is based on the initial phrase, the Wizard of Oz, and achieving that total of 2213, and then every phrase talking about characters, actors, situations, whatever in the film. And now even the musical, which is based on these characters, all being mentioned and all sharing the same value. It's just extraordinary. Okay, let's move over to Star Wars. And this, again, it's just going to keep getting stronger and stronger, demonstrating what I've been talking about. This base code that runs underneath the very fabric of our existence in everything. All right. So to achieve my base number, what I typed in was Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Okay? And so 4 obviously is spelled out. So Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. That gives us the value of 2970. So that means, again, all the phrases that I found must meet that criteria. They must all have the value of 2970. Now, folks, watch how detailed this is going to get. The first phrase is a movie with lead Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher. A true statement. Okay, those are the 3 lead characters in the film. So a movie with lead Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher. And the value is $29.70. Folks, those are the actual actors' names in the film. Okay. Here we go again. C-3PO is a classic golden humanoid robot machine in Star Wars. True statement. He's golden, he's humanoid, he's a robot machine. And it even mentions the movie name, Star Wars, in the phrase. C-3PO is a classic golden humanoid robot machine in Star Wars. True statement. Value $29.70. The next one. Luke Skywalker, played by the Mark Hamill. Okay? Luke Skywalker, played by the Mark Hamill. True statement. Mark Hamill is the actor who played Luke Skywalker. $29.70 is the value. Han Solo, a handsome man, is played by the distinguished actor Harrison Ford. Okay. Han Solo, a handsome man, is played by the distinguished actor Harrison Ford. True statement. And its value is also $29.70. This next one, Princess Leia Organa, sister of Luke, is played by the remarkable Carrie Fisher. Okay, folks. I mean, not only is it Princess Leia, but it's Princess Leia and her last name, the name given to her because she was adopted by the Organa family. So Princess Leia Organa, sister of Luke, we know that she is his sister, and she is played by the remarkable Carrie Fisher. True statement. Value, $29.70. Again, folks, just ask yourself, what are the chances? What are the chances? I mean, these are details upon details upon details. And we're not even through. We're not even close to being through with the ones from Star Wars. Next one. There is a fiendish, fat crime lord slug named Jabba the Hutt, added later using CGI. Okay, folks, that detail right there alone. Okay, so we're talking about Star Wars Episode 4. Okay, so when it first came out, it did not have Jabba the Hutt in it. George Lucas actually filmed a scene, but he used a human actor that he was going to later, I guess, kind of cover up with some sort of, clay animation or some kind of animatronic, character. But it was too costly, and so he abandoned the idea. Now, when he came out with the special editions, he re-added that scene and then used a CGI version of Jabba the Hutt. Now, the first version sucked ass. I mean, it was not a very good Jabba the Hutt. But then later they went back and redid it again and made him look better. Okay. So that phrase, added later using CGI, I mean, what are the chances? What are the chances that that whole entire phrase, which is true, the film now features, or not features, but there is this fiendish, fat crime lord slug like character who is named Jabba the Hutt. And he was added later using CGI. It's crazy. $29.70 is the value of that phrase. Next. This is probably one of my favorites. That's no moon, it's a space station is a memorable line from this film said by General Ben Kenobi. It does not get any more accurate than this. That's no moon, it's a space station. That is the line. And it is a memorable line because it's been used in other films, quoted many times. But in this film, it was stated by General Ben Kenobi. Because in the film, Luke, they just left Tatooine. There's these TIE fighters that come, and Luke says, something along the lines of, look, it's heading towards that small moon. And Ben Kenobi says, that's no moon, it's a space station. And I think Han says, something along the lines of, it can't be, it's too big to be a space station. But again, very accurate phrase, very accurate statement, and that whole entire thing has the value of $29.70. Next one. Darth Vader indeed is the villain in this amazing film. True statement. Darth Vader is indeed the villain. He's the bad guy. That phrase, $29.70. Next one. George Lucas wrote the script to this radical science fiction film. True statement. True statement. For the time that this film came out, it was pretty radical. I mean, the special effects and everything was just, it's why it became such a big hit when it first came out. And obviously, George Lucas is the one who wrote the script. That phrase, value, $29.70. Next, George Lucas did not write the complete novel. Now, this one's interesting. So if you would go online, go to Amazon, unless they've changed it, but I used to have the original first print edition, and it was called Star Wars from the Adventures of Luke Skywalker. And that was the novel for the movie. And it said, written by George Lucas. Now, but he didn't write the novel. He did not write the novel. Go look it up. Go look it up. I'm not lying. I'm not making any of this up. It was written or ghost written by Alan Dean Foster. Okay. Sci-fi writer. And he's also the author of Splinter of the Mind's Eye. It was a kind of a side story, after the first movie came out. So it's this sort of adventure story that has Luke and Leia in it. And he was the author of that, but he ghost wrote the novel for Star Wars, the first book. Now check this out. This next one. So we know that George Lucas did not write the complete novel. And this statement right here verifies it. Alan Dean Foster penned the classical first adaptation novel, not George Lucas. And that phrase, 2970. Folks, come on. Come on. How can you not see that there is a code? Let's go on. The Millennium Falcon had a co-pilot. Chewbacca is another character in the sci-fi film. Okay, again, true statement. The Millennium Falcon, that's the ship that Han Solo flies. His co-pilot is Chewbacca, who is another character in this sci-fi film. And that phrase has the value of 2970. R2-D2, a character in Star Wars, is a tin can astromech droid. Okay? Kind of a humorous phrase just for the fact that it's using tin can, but that's kind of what he looks like. He's a little squat droid that looks like a tin can with a dome on top. So again, a true statement, and he is what they called an astromech droid. So let's read that one again. R2-D2, a character in Star Wars, is a tin can astromech droid, and its value is 2970. Now, check this one out. R2-D2 is played by Kenny Baker, an English actor and old school comedian. True statement. There was a little tiny actor inside of R2-D2, and his name was Kenny Baker. And he was an English actor, and he was also an old school comedian. So again, true statement. Let's read that one again. R2-D2 is played by Kenny Baker, an English actor and old school comedian. And that phrase, 2970. Next. C-3PO is played by Anthony Daniels, a British-based actor and mime. Again, true statement. C-3PO is played by Anthony Daniels, a British-based actor and mime. 2970. Next. Peter Mayhew, labeled in the role of Chewbacca. Okay. Another true statement. Peter Mayhew is Chewbacca. He's the actor who plays Chewbacca. He is labeled in the credits as playing Chewbacca. So again, true statement. Peter Mayhew labeled in the role of Chewbacca. 2970. David Prowse, labeled bad Darth Vader. Okay, now that's one little kind of clunky, but still a very true statement. David Prowse, labeled bad Darth Vader. So Darth Vader's the bad guy in the film, played by the actor David Prowse. So again, a true statement, and its value is $29.70. Next, James Earl Jones speaks back as Darth Vader. Okay, so think about this. It's telling us that David Prowse is labeled as the bad Darth Vader, but that James Earl Jones speaks back as Darth Vader. So you have one actor in the suit, but the voice coming out, because when they filmed it, and you look at the original footage before it went through, post-production, you can hear David Prowse talking through the mask. And it's kind of funny because his voice doesn't fit the the evil, sinister Darth Vader. So James Earl Jones's voice was added later, so he's speaking back as Darth Vader. Again, true statement. Value $29.70. Next, in this movie, the secret Death Star destroys planets. Okay. Again, another true statement. So in this film, which we really don't find out until later, but the Death Star is not well known by the characters that it even exists. Just a few people on, in the Rebels, like Princess Leia knows it exists, obviously, because she's taking those plans and taking them back to the Rebels so that they can find a way to defeat the thing. But we find out later in Rogue One that this thing was just completed, it was just tested, and so they have stolen the plans and then gotten them over to Princess Leia. So again, it's not a well-known thing in the universe of Star Wars just yet. So again, the Death Star is kind of a secret, and it does destroy planets, as we'll see in the next statement. In this leading movie, the planet Alderaan is annihilated by the dreaded Death Star. Okay? Again, a true statement. In the series of Star Wars films, even though they've gone back and done the prequels and now the sequels, this movie was the first one released. So it is the leading movie. Okay? So in this leading movie, the planet Alderaan, which is where Princess Leia grew up, and it is annihilated by the Death Star because Governor Tarkin, yes, is trying to get her to reveal the location of the rebel base. And he uses this as a means of trying to get the information out of her. So they annihilate the planet. They destroy it. All right. That's it. That's all the terms. But think about those, folks. Again, put a lot of thought into that. So we start with the base term, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, and get the value, $29.70. All other phrases must meet that criteria, and they do, perfectly describing events, things that are said, the actors' names, the characters that they play. And they all match $29.70. Same with The Wizard of Oz, $22.13. The actors' names, the characters they played, events, things that happened. I'm telling you, folks, everything is running on this scripted code. Think about it. All right. That's going to be it for now. I just thought this was interesting. And again, just another, another example of what I've been talking about. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. And until next time, I hope you all take care and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.